Story time on how I found out my best friend of 5 years, my baby's godmother, actually hated me our entire 5 years of being friends. And yesterday, she confessed to me after 5 years she never liked me, she hated my guts the entire time, and why you should vet your friendships just the same way that you vet your relationships.
Child, this story time be giving me PTSD. This story time be giving me PTSD. God knows that I have been through a lot in the hands of a few friends. One thing I'll say is I've been very fortunate due to an experience I had when I was much younger in my late teens when I discovered the evilness of the girls. I learned quickly, and my female friends are one of the best friends I have right now. I always say that my friendships and my relationships are the wealth that I have. However, God knows that it's been a lifelong process, and lately I've had to cut off some friends and reshuffle some friends. And I must say that this lady giving the story time is a child of God. But let me not talk too much. I'd like you to go ahead and listen to
Me and this girl was friends since 2020 during the pandemic, like early 2020. We met on social media. I think it was even 2019. We hit it off real well. We had the same interests. I'll just say that. We didn't officially meet up in person until I moved to Atlanta in 2021 because she lives in South Carolina and I was in New Jersey, New York. So obviously coming to South Carolina was not in the plans. We building a friendship. We're getting real close. I get married in 2021. She was already married for 2 years when we met. So our husbands met. They got super close. We had this whole like family group chat. We all close and dee 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 da da. Right? We are like peas in the pod, all of us. I say peas in the pod, I mean families meeting each other, hanging out at each other's houses. We even felt comfortable when we found out we were pregnant in 2022 that they were going to be our new baby's godmother and godfather. So this all is catching me by surprise. Had to give you a little backstory. Yesterday, I get a call, ring, 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 catches me off guard, completely off guard. Homegirl says, hey, I have something to tell you. I've been feeling this way for so long. But mind you, as of recently, I've been telling my husband, I feel like something is off between me and her. Like, you know, when you have that feeling, ladies, like, you know, when you know, you have a feeling something is off. But everything kept flying over my head. So she asked, can she call me? We get on the phone. And she's like, all right, I got something to tell you. For the past 4 or 5 years, I've never liked you. I've always been jealous of you. I've always hated you. You can predict. My mouth was like, what? I literally kept saying, what? 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 What are you talking about? We were just planning to see each other next month. All of us, our families getting together and having a good time for the holidays. And this is how you were feeling the entire time? But that's not even the half of what she had to say. She goes on to say that she was always praying against the things that I was praying for. So when I was telling her that my husband and I were praying for a baby, and this was 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, when I was telling her these things, she said that she was praying and hoping that we wouldn't conceive. She was praying and believing that when we were pregnant, the baby wouldn't be born. When I was pregnant around like 26, 27 weeks, you know, when you get tests for gestational diabetes, I was actually diagnosed with gestational diabetes. I had to retake the test. So, you know, you call your friend, you tell your friend, whatever, like, hey, like, pray for me and all these things. Girl said that she was praying that the opposite would happen of what we wanted, which is, of course, for the gestational diabetes to be removed so that I can have a healthy pregnancy. If you know anything about gestational diabetes in itself, you know that that's nothing to play with when you are pregnant at all. So the fact that she found that fun and joyful, and I still called her a best friend, and she knew that this baby was going to be her godchild, and she felt comfortable feeling that way, blows my mind. So, anyways, the whole time we were on the phone, I'm just listening. I'm just quiet because I'm trying to like take in everything that she's saying because I actually can't believe that these things were going over my head. One time while I was pregnant, it was November of 2022, and I was due March 2023. I came to her because I had a feeling like something was off. And again, like when you feel something is off, you really need to take heed and pray about whatever it is that you feel is off of your spirit. So I said something was off. I addressed it with her and we agreed that we both can do better as friends. I should have took that as a sign right then and there to dead this friendship, but she assured me that what I was feeling off was not the case. She was genuinely there to be my friend. The same time I felt this way was the same time I had the gestational diabetes and she felt a way about me being pregnant, I suppose. She continued on to say that she's always felt competition between us. Whenever I started my photography business, she felt competition in there. Whenever she seen that we were essentially making money moves, I'll just say it like that, she felt some sort of way about that. So last year, December, November, I don't know if you've seen on my TikTok page, if you scroll down, I shared that we were facing eviction, right? She knew about that and her husband knew about that because we were all close. We are like family. So like we're going to the people that we're the most closest to pray for us and to cover us, that of course that we don't end up on the street with a 9-month old. This girl prayed that we would not have a home to live in. She prayed, she said this out of her own mouth. She was just hoping that we would end up homeless with the 9-month old that is her godchild, and then still had the audacity to open up her home for us to live there, even though she was feeling these things. She said that it made her feel like they were doing better than us. This is a best friend, somebody that you're confiding in. I was almost like dishing information for her to pray against on me. Did it for me wasn't the fact that she didn't like me this whole entire time, is that I gave her access to my child, the one that I had prayed for to be here, and I entrusted her to come into agreement with me for this baby. But she had a whole separate agenda this entire time of canceling his life, and I entrusted her to be his godparent. I'm gonna leave it here because she says way more. If you want to hear part two, then let me know in the comments. But I'm gonna just leave one thing for you ladies. Vet your friendships the same way that you are going to vet your relationships. The same way that you're going to pray and seek God about if this is the person that you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with. You need to be praying and asking God, is this a friendship I need to be pouring myself out into? You need to pray and ask God for discernment when we're sharing things with friends. That is women. Sometimes we just want to get all close because we like the same things. We like content creation. We all just gonna be friends. We like photography. We just all gonna be friends. And no, like ask God, what is the kingdom purpose here for our friendship? Is this somebody I'm gonna do life with? Is this somebody I should share my deepest, darkest secrets with? Is this somebody that I can trust with my entire life? Is this somebody I could bring around family? The list goes on. You need to vet your friendships the same exact way that you're going to be vetting your relationships. And that's one thing that I took away from this. And these things for sure will never happen again. Well, I don't know, girl. I'm just excited that God has removed the one thing that I knew was a hindrance to my life. And now I can just move forward with what God has for me in this season. But overall, I just feel like this is all crazy. this is just, this is like a movie. I can't believe it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.
Now, this lady's story time may be hard to believe, but I can assure you this ish is real. I think her story time should be called Confessions of a Witch. No, seriously. Confessions of a Witch. Like I said, this girl is a child of God. For you to get someone to actually confess their true feelings towards you. I mean, if you watch Nigerian movies, you must have seen a scenario like this where somebody just comes and like, hey, Nami kill him. Nami, I'm the one that put something in his. I'm telling you, it's like a movie. Some people find it hard to believe, but it's not far fetched, honestly. Um, it's interesting because you can actually have a full blown hater as your prayer warrior, as your prayer partner, somebody that you share your prayer needs to, and like she said, the person is praying against you. You can have a hater as your best friend. and even as your mom and as your sibling. This is real. Like, oh, I mean, if you're a Christian, we've seen such scenarios in the Bible. So there's nothing new under the sun. We're just so optimistic that these things don't happen to us. And it's really messed up. Well, I'm gonna give you my story time before I go on to glean the learnings from her story time. I would give you my story time. Just the backstory. I have been, like I said earlier, I've been fortunate with friends, but when I was in my early teens, um, to be honest, when I started to grow curves and get male attention, I that was when I really started to experience hateration from girls. And it these stories, the experiences I had between the ages of 14 and say 20 is a story time in itself. But that was when I actually learned to vet friends, to pick friends. I don't just accept people into my circle or just accept people because they want to be my friends. However, it still did not prevent people from actually, maybe these people were actually genuine, but life events, trauma, and the fact that they can't control, that seed. Because look, we're all human. I've also been in a situation where I have felt a little bit of jealousy towards somebody because I felt like they were having something I didn't have. But I have been self aware enough not to let it bloom, and just understand that, look, we all have our journeys, we all have our gifts, and so life is life. The fact that somebody has something doesn't mean I'm not going to have it at some point. So, yeah. So, my story time. So, I had this friend I'd known from high school, and, really good friend. I would say she's like a model friend, a friend you could lean on and all of that. Um, and so one time we found ourselves working together at a job, and um, it turns out that I I got promoted, but I didn't think it was anything because, like I said, we're close friends. We've known each other, like we say, from home. She knew about my parents. She knew about the circumstances in my home. I knew about the circumstances in our home. We shared similar trauma, all that kind of ish. So this was a friend that was a close friend, and I really trusted. And at the time, that's how I am with my friends. If I bring you close, I have to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable with you. And we were vulnerable with each other. Now, the first time I realized there were signs of competition in that relationship, to be honest, I did not realize. But in hindsight, what she said has never left me. It's been over a decade, I believe, right now, and it still hasn't left me. So there were some issues and I lost the job. And, as a friend of mine, I told her, I was like, oh, I lost the job. Guess what this lady says? Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Can you imagine? Oh, how the mighty have fallen. When she made that statement, I was shocked and perplexed. But because of my love for her, I I overrode what she said. I said, my brain overrode because I couldn't accept that someone I held so dearly could say such a thing to me. And so in my head, I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe she didn't know, she didn't mean it that way. And I let it go, you know. Uh, well, our friendship continued. We stayed over at each other's houses sometimes. And we, even though I think we shared similar values, we had different personalities. I was a lot more outgoing. She wasn't. She was a little bit more introverted. So, in that sense, I didn't think that. First of all, I don't even think I compete with my friends. It doesn't make sense. Like I've always thought that friends complement each other. There's no competition. So, to me, I don't think it was an issue. However, one day I was chatting away my destiny. You know how it is, you're telling your friend everything. Oh, this guy, this guy was testing me. Oh, this guy, yeah, because yeah, as a fine girl, I get a lot of male attention, and she's a pretty girl as well. She's a pretty girl, but she probably didn't get as much because I don't know, maybe personality. I don't know. We never know about these things, and I've never given it a lot of thought. So, um, so I was there chatting with myself and like maybe brushing my hair in the mirror and stuff like that. And then like later in the day, maybe when she'd left or stuff like that, my sister called me and she said, "Look, if this your friend was your if she was your friend at 12 noon today, but at 7 p.m. today, she's no longer your friend." And she says, when I came to your room to, tell you something, I caught a glimpse of her looking at you. And she had this really, really horrible look of disgust and envy. Like if there was something sharp, she could pick it up and just impale you. And I told my sister, I was like, oh, please, you're imagining things. She could never think that way or stuff like that. Unfortunately for me, or unfortunately for this friend of mine, that night, if my memory serves me well, or not too long after, I had a dream about her. For me, my dreams are pretty significant. My brains always reveal the deep, hidden secret things about people's intentions when I decide to pay attention to them. So I had a dream about her, and exactly what my sister said was what I saw. There were a few events in the dream. She was just, her true nature was revealed. But one key thing that I recall from the dream was there was a part where, towards the end of the dream, I saw her and she looked like me. It was like I had a doppelganger. However, that doppelganger was looked like they kind of wore me, but it was ill-fitted, or maybe like they had my essence. I really can't articulate it. You know how dreams can be so mysterious and algoric and all of that. But um, I think I called her attention and she turned to me and she said, "Now I am you." Yep, that's what she said. And I woke up and I was shocked. And I remember that um, after that dream, I did give her some space, but we, a few maybe years later, we reconnected and we went right back to where we stopped, which was my error. I did not have the wisdom at the time to know that when some people have showed you who they are, you don't bring them so close anymore. You can sustain the relationship, enjoy the benefits of what each of you give there, but what they really need from you is they need to know what's going on in your life. So they need to be close to you so that they can sabotage you, basically. So that was the mistake I made. But like I said, that's a story for another day. So I think amongst all these kind of envious friends, the most dangerous ones are the ones who are envious of your essence. What do I mean? You could be, let's say you have a friend who is wealthier than you, right? Prettier than you, more successful than you. Just in general, the world standard is doing better than you are doing. But you see signs where you feel like they are not happy with you, they're envious of you, or they are competing with you. And your mind can't take it because you're thinking, this person is doing better than me. Why would they, be envious of me? This person is more beautiful than me. This person is more successful than me. This person's husband is wealthier than me. Just basically, using the standards of the world to measure success. So you can't phantom why they will be envious of you. Sometimes your mentor can be envious of you. Yes, your mentor, someone who is like your coach or guides you, like what's worse than your mother? Your mother, who should be your biggest cheerleader, or your father, people who birthed you this world, can be envious of you. This ish is real. A lot of the times, um, when somebody you feel is in a better position than you is envious of you, they are envious of your essence. Sometimes people are envious of your innocence. Sometimes people are envious of the fact that you are a happy-go-lucky person, or you see the world through rose-colored glasses. Some people are envious of your naivety. Some people are envious of your resilience, the fact that you can go through life's experience and come out on top. Some people are just envious of your essence, just your essence, basically who you are. They want to, and this person, what I learned over time, obviously, was that they were envious of my essence, that thing that made me me. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that. I was young, I was happy go lucky, I was going through life, and so I was trying to make the best out of life. So I couldn't imagine why anybody would be envious of anything. I like, if, do you want my life? Come and take it. It's not so rosy, but I was making the best out of it. But in hindsight, I learned that I do have essence just like everybody else. And I particularly, I've had to deal with a lot of jealousy and envy from females. And it's made me understand myself better and understand why people can be envious of me, because sometimes, I can be so humble and think, hey, there's really nothing about me, you know. Like I said, these people have things that I'm aspiring to have. So I would never understand. But obviously now with life and experience, I can see clearly. And once I spot it, I call it out quickly. So you're either going to stop that energy, or you're going to be more covert. But whichever way, I'm more discerning, and I'm quick to deal with it. Now, let's talk about the lessons gleaned out of this lady story time. Firstly, we need to ask God for discernment and to reveal the heart of the ones close to us. Excuse me. You need to ask God to reveal the heart of the people close to you, because look, I'm an open arms kind of person. If you're in my first circle, I'm vulnerable to you. But over time, you think you're sharing with someone your vulnerability and everything, but because you don't know their true intentions, they can use it against you. So it's very important, no matter your brother, your sister, your brother, your best friend, pray to and ask God to reveal their heart towards you. It's very important. Um, because they're close to you, you don't know the ammunitions that they use against you. They need your progress report. People can really, really be evil. Secondly, listen to your gut instincts. For me, this frenemy was revealed to me in a dream. Your gut instincts are there to guide you. So when you see something that is, or you see an expression, or this person responds in a way that, well, we have to be careful at the same time, because sometimes we're going in our foolish ways and people are trying to correct us, and we think that it's envy and they're jealous and all of that. I'm not talking about that. But like when you share a news and somebody is reacts differently, or they smiles, like they smile but the smile doesn't get into their eyes, you watch the expression and stuff like that, the reaction makes you gives you a gut reaction. Watch out for it. um Listen to what third parties say about this person. Like in my case, my sister had told me that she caught a glimpse of the what the person, the expression the person had when I had my back turned to them. This is another way of finding out how they really feel about you. And their true intentions towards you. Um, Now, you don't always have to cut these people off completely. Like I said, some of them have really rare qualities. And this is why we have a hard time getting rid of them, because they have some qualities that are very important to us. Another reason we have a hard time getting rid of them is codependency, trauma bonding. We can talk about that in another video. But you don't always have to cut the person off. A well-respected woman I follow, Cindy Trim, says that you have 7 rings of relationship. You actually have to categorize your friends in seven, your relationships in 7 rings. So some of the people in your close circle really have no business being there. They should be further out away. So that's something you should also consider. So rather than have them close where you give them blow by blow of your life, you you're a bit more conservative about what you share about your life. And sometimes they are very nosy. They want to know every bit of information. Be wary of that as well. Because even Jesus categorized his relationship and he still got betrayed. Now, this is a very key takeaway, and I need you guys to know this. Be careful with friends who compete with you. This was what she experienced with this friend. This friend competed with her. I think she said they had like interests, and this was just constantly copied, like their model or stuff like that. But basically, beware of friends who compete with you. They are very dangerous. These kind of friends sometimes are easy to spot. Be wary of them. Your friends should compliment you, encourage you, and not compete with you. Remember, they should compliment you and not compete. Beware of friends who give backhanded compliments and are always sarcastic. Their adoration is always veiled within those fake compliments, right? So, so it's like, it's your dress. It's your dress. Blue doesn't suit you, but it's cute though. I mean, once in a while, bands, but those backhanded compliments, when they come out a lot, that's a sign of a hater. Be wary of that person. Beware of friends who won't celebrate you and minimize your achievements. One phrase I particularly dislike is, I think it's something maybe like in the southern part of the United States that is used like, oh, I just got her little shop, her little joint, her little podcast. Please do not describe anything I do as little. For me, it's a sign of hateration, in my honest opinion. Anybody that describes anything you own like, oh, so you're feeling all that because that your little car. No, that's the sign of a hater. Beware of friends that always point out your flaws. These kind of people break down your self-esteem so they can feel better about themselves. They need to make you, cut you down to size so that they feel superior to you. Beware of friends like that. They should be able to give you healthy criticism without and healthy criticism while considering your feelings and not constantly bashing you or constantly pointing out your flaws. Beware of friends like that. Beware of friends who are always negative and are always critical of your dreams or ambition. Sometimes you have friends who claim or who think they are the voice of reason, and they are constantly negative about your dreams and ambition. No matter how big and ridiculous your dream is, right? A good friend should be able to tell you, okay, you know what, you can do this, but maybe you should go about this and not just dismiss it completely, right? At the same time, you have to understand that a good friend gives honest feedback. You don't want to surround yourself with yes men. Those are not good friends either. Now, beware of friends who always copy you. For me, thought I always thought that imitation is a form of flattery. But if you have a friend who sometimes, it can just be innocent, like, oh, like, guess what? I bought that hat you had, or I bought that thingy you have, or there's an interesting one, baby names. You say, oh, I like this name, I love this name. I'm going to name my son Ian. And next thing you hear that they take that name from you. Beware of friends like that. Beware of friends that copy you in everything. Like you bought a BMW, they buy a BMW. There's no other car. You can, friends, emulate each other. I mean, we emulate stars, right? But they're not our friends. But it's because we like them. So it's fine to emulate, but be careful when they're copying every single thing. Yes, sometimes you can be a bit much if you're like, oh, she's always copying me. But I think if a third person or a few third parties like mentioning like, wow, this person is starting to look like you, be careful because sometimes that is rooted in envy or jealousy. Now, this is a very interesting one, and I need you to pay attention. Beware of friends who are there for you when things are bad. Now, these friends usually have a savior complex, and they're especially tricky because they appear as friends in need. But are they really a friend indeed? Some of them can't bear to see you happy or doing better than them. You won't know how they truly feel about you until you start to live your best life. You see, these friends, it took me a while to understand this kind of friends. Because, like I said, they have the best quality of friendship, what we call friendship, like, oh, they're there for you when the chips are down. When the chips are down, those people who are there for you are people that you will always respect and hold dear. However, some of these people are just great at just watching you down. When things are good, they are not happy. This friend I gave a story to him about is exactly like that. When I lost my job, the best thing she could say is, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Right? But this friend is really always there for me when things are down. But I just noticed how I started to notice that she was a friend in me was when I'm doing well, I'm flying, I'm shining. And it's not, it's really, really difficult to spot it out because sometimes, a lot of the times, maybe I'm too in my head, I don't notice it. But sometimes it's really jarring. And I'm like, this is not the appropriate reaction for someone who has my best interest in need. So, and it actually got to a point where I decided that I was going to be stingy with any good thing I shared with her. So I can you imagine that's how silly I was that I was going to mold myself to sustain the friendship because I felt this friendship was so dear that I couldn't let go of it. So when we call to catch up, I always have to constantly give her sub stories because sadly I realized that it made her feel good. Once I give her celebrity stories, her reaction was very so be wary of this kind of friends. They come through for you when the chips are down, but they can't bear to see you rise. They just can't. They just can't bear to see you rise. Most importantly, learn to move in silence. We're in that age of oversharing. Instead of sharing every detail of your life with everybody, yap, yap, yap around, yap on social media, get a journal or talk to yourself in the mirror or record yourself. Try to sit on your hands when you have good news. I'm speaking to myself as well. Learn to move in silence. Social media has unfortunately bred the green eye of envy, the green monster of envy, and you honestly do not know who's caught the bug. So let me know in the comments below your experience with frenemies. Was it a friend, a colleague, a family member? How long did you know? Have you known this person, and what event opened your eyes about their true feelings about you? Be safe out there, and until we meet again, this is the Mindset Re-Engineer. Please do not forget to like, subscribe if you enjoy my content, and share to someone who probably has a frenemy and needs to be aware, or who needs to just know how to vet friends better. Till we meet again, this is the Mindset Re-Engineer. Be safe out there. Mwah.